Hey guys, now we are on to the super kind of boring, but we got to talk about it section all about money. And this is one of those areas that people have a lot of questions about, a lot of misconceptions about. And so I thought I'd take some time to talk about collecting payments and if you need to collect sales tax and how to use debit cards and credit cards to collect payments and if you need to pay tax. So, let's get started. Cash payments and floats. So, a float is the money that you bring with you to a fair to make change. So, if you sell something for $15 and someone gives you a 20, obviously you need to give them $5 back. So you want to have some cash on hand. You can bring a money box with you or just like a little fanny pack type of thing to keep your money in and keep it safe. And how much do you bring though? So I usually bring about $100 worth of bills, and I'll have it in increments of fives and tens. Now, most of the things that I sell are between $20 and $30. So it's pretty common for somebody to give me a $20 bill. A lot of the people have exact change, which is awesome when they do. Sometimes somebody will, right off the bat, hand me like $100 bill and want me to make change for it for something that was, $20, which is frustrating because there goes all my money. And in that case, I usually try to encourage them to pay with debit or credit, but we'll get to that in a second. So normally, I'll do fives and tens, and the reason I do that, and I talk about this in another section as well, is because all of the things I sell, the price ends in a 5 or a 0. And that's because I don't want to be having to carry a lot of $1 bills. I don't want to have to get confusing with the math and try to figure out how much I owe them. I just like to make it as easy and fast as possible for everybody. Now, the next thing that you can do is collect credit and debit payments, and I highly recommend that you accept debit and credit. That is going to increase your income by quite a bit because most people do not carry cash anymore, and I am one of those people as well. It's very, very rare for me to have any physical money in my wallet. I pay for everything with debit and credit. So you want to be able to accept debit and credit, and you also want to make sure you have some kind of signage at your booth to let people know that you do. Because I know if I was walking around a festival, I'm kind of going to assume that people might not take debit or credit, and I know that I don't have any cash in my wallet, so I'm not going to be as less likely to be sort of shopping if I think that I can't even buy anything. So I'm going to, if I see a sign that says, credit and debit accepted, I am much more likely to buy something, and I'm much more likely to spend more money, I think, just because it's a little bit different than paying with physical money, So we'll go, okay, let me just say this first. With debit and credit payments, what I use is called a Square reader. And you can go to squareup.com and get yourself a Square reader. And what it is, it's a little device that you plug into the headphone jack in your phone. And there's an app that you download. And then you can just punch in however much money that you want to charge the customer. You swipe their card, and then they sign with their finger on the screen of your phone, and then it gives you an option to email them a receipt. And this goes into a big pool, and then after the show, you can go online and deposit that money directly into your bank. You obviously have to provide them with your routing and account number, but I've never had a problem with Square Up. It's very safe and secure. Another one, and I'm probably going to be switching to this one actually, is through Intuit QuickBooks. They have a program called Go Payment, and it works the same as Square. So it's just a chip reader or a swipe thing that you plug into your phone, and it works the same way. You just type in the amount and swipe the card, and then it'll go into your account. And the reason that I am probably going to be switching to GoPayment is because of how I do my taxes. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But basically, it just integrates everything easier so that you can keep track a little bit better. Now, another question that people have is, do you need a business license to sell at craft fairs? And that is going to depend entirely on your local laws, so your state laws, and then also for specifically for your county. So the best way to find this out is to just do a quick Google search and check and see if the state and city that you live in, if the county that you live in requires a business license. On some of the applications I have filled out for craft fairs, it will ask for like a business license number, and I always just put in my social security number, and I have never been denied, and it's just because of the way I do my taxes, but we'll talk about that in a second. So you can check, just do a quick Google search, and you want to make sure it's through a verified site, like a government website that you're checking with. Check with your local chamber of commerce. Look up their phone number. You can give them a quick call if you're not sure. So I do have a business license. It's not super scary to get. I live in Washington State, so I just went to Department of Licensing, Washington State. I filled in a few questions online. I paid like $25, and I have a business license. So it's really not difficult. It cannot hurt to have one. If you're not sure, you might as well just go ahead and get one and just have it, and then it's done, and you don't have to worry about it. Another question, should I collect sales tax? Now, I go over this in another module as well. But the thing with sales tax is, do you have to collect it legally? Yes, you do. Do you have to make the customer pay for it? Technically, no. You can cover that cost for them. So now the amount of sales tax is also going to depend on your city, your county, and your state. So you're going to want to look up what the local sales tax is before you start charging people. Now, I've said, I'll go over again what I do specifically. So when somebody is buying something from my shop, I include the sales tax if they're paying cash. And so I just don't even bring it up. If something is $20, they pay $20. I don't grab my calculator and start going, okay, 20 plus 7% equals X amount. Okay, now you owe me $22.73. I just don't think that's convenient for my customers. We're sort of in an informal setting at a fair. I don't like to do that. You can do whatever you want, but I just know if I am somewhere, I'm paying for cash, and then all of a sudden I need to start digging through and trying to find more money and change, I personally would be really frustrated. So if there's something that I would sell, let's say normally for, $18, I'm just going to round up the price to 20. The customer pays 20. I don't bring up sales tax, and I deal with it later. So later on, when I'm paying my sales tax, I just figure out how much that I would have owed, and then I would pay that amount of sales tax. So I basically do it for the customer. Now, this is the most common question that I get about my business, is that do you have to pay income tax on craft fair income? Yes, you do. And this doesn't have to be super scary or intimidating. People really freak out about taxes, but honestly, it's really not that hard. If you are totally unsure, I always recommend talking to an accountant. There's always small business accountants all over the place in your town. It shouldn't be that difficult to find one. You can always call and make an appointment and get a consultation and get some specific information for your individual situation. What I do is, so I have my craft fair income, and I have my income from the jewelry that I sell online on Etsy and Amazon. So I have a lot of things going on, but what I have done for the last probably 5 or 6 years is I use TurboTax. And I just go online. It's super easy to use. And what I do is the way I declare my income is through, it's called a Schedule C. And that's just something that gets added to your normal income tax. So when you're filing, if you have a regular job or your partner has a regular job and you get a W-2 in the mail, you would report that like normal, like you normally do if you're doing your own taxes. But then you also add on, it's called a Schedule C, and it's just a little bit more paperwork that you fill out. And it's where you report all your business expenses. So you're going to have all the things that you would declare for a write-off, like your supplies or things that you need, like a table, tablecloth, a canopy. All of that gets added into your expenses. And then you also are going to add on your profits, so all the money that you make. So really what you would want to do is just keep track of absolutely everything. Save every single receipt you get throughout the year on things that you spend money on for. It could be anything like your supplies for making what you make, like I said, your table, your tablecloth, your canopy, price tags, pens, paper, markers, everything. Just keep all the receipts, and at the end of the year you can go through it all and track your expenses and your profits. And you do that all through TurboTax, and it's always a pain to do your taxes, but that makes it easier. The other thing you can do is just hire an accountant. I'm probably going to be doing that in the next year or two, just because I have, blogging income and then online income and in-person income, and my husband's paycheck. It's getting out of control. But it doesn't have to be that complicated, and it's really not. It's just something that I'm getting to the point where I'd just rather not have to deal with it. So you can always just hire an accountant. If you're super intimidated about doing taxes, that might be the best way to go. But again, I recommend TurboTax. And the thing with TurboTax, if you pay for the same thing that I did, which is doing your regular income tax, but with the added Schedule C, which is basically meant for people who own their own small business, then you have access to QuickBooks and all of their programs. So you can integrate everything. You can integrate your bank account, your PayPal, your Etsy shop, and it will track all of your expenses and all of your profits. And then at the end of the year, it just imports it right into TurboTax, and it makes it so much easier for doing your taxes. I talked a little bit before about their the Go Payment swipe reader for credit cards, and that's through QuickBooks. That will also integrate into their program for your taxes at the end of the year. So if you use the one called Go Payment and you use TurboTax and QuickBooks, it all works together. So it's just a lot easier than doing it all individually. I think that's about all I have to talk about money. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, send me a message on Facebook, or go to the Facebook group and you can ask questions there, and I will do my very best to answer them. So, good luck guys, and we'll see you in the next module.